Conor's going to bring that ferociousness to the fight.
I like the approach Conor Benn's took here. He's had a bit of time off. That's a big one. He's down.
You know, he's a carbon copy of his dad.
I believe that he's going to surpass me. I think with what the talent that he's got, I done this when I was like 25.
His name is Nigel Benn. He's from West Ham.
He's doing it now.
Fight fans, welcome back. Two fighters born from UK greatness.
You know, the warriors, the gladiators are who set the bar.
You know, everyone compared me to my father. They're comparing me to a world champion.
Chris Eubank here tonight, simply the best, he calls himself.
Some people will say that is a pressure, but for me, it makes me fight harder, makes me train harder.
We are the standard bearers. I told him, help me.
It's not easy carrying around the surname of a living legend.
Stepping out of their father's shadows to continue a feud that started before them, destined to be ended by them.
We are where we are because of our dads.
That's true.
It was a massive rivalry. There were two big personalities, two big styles, people invest in character, and you know the characters were off the charts.
A volatile banger, veering close to the edge, primed and hungry with a reputation to repair, facing a quietly spoken assassin who takes delight in silencing his opponent's team at every opportunity. It's a closer look at Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr.
You're done. You're done.
Welcome to a Motivedia presentation.
And the family rivalry continues to this day.
For Conor Benn, being allowed to fight again on home soil has been a challenge of its own. The first time he was scheduled to box his contrived British rival, a tainted test in 2022, caused all hell to break loose.
You failed 2 drug tests and you're trying to prove your innocence. But you've probably seen what social media has been saying.
You know, sorry, but nothing you can say or do is going to change the public opinion. You got caught twice with illegal substances in your system.
What these situations do is they make a lot of people look funny that have very definitive statements in the past.
Jarrell Big Baby Miller had popped 3 times for PEDs.
Look, yeah,
do you think you should be banned for life?
Yes, I do. It's a bit like when someone commits a crime and goes to prison. At what stage do you ever forgive them?
Old interviews of Eddie Hearn, like, oh, you know, if you fail a test, no way you should fight. And then it's like, well, wait a second.
Yo, guy. I think you're accountable. I think you should be sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control because I think you and Cali, on the basis of the fact that you tried to get a fight on.
Yeah, so it puts people in these funny circumstances. Conor Benn had an interview.
Did you want Conor to speak to Piers Morgan and talk TV?
No, I've not given Conor Benn.
Did you know he was going to do that?
Yes, I was made aware on the day that it was coming out.
There's a substance in my body that I haven't even heard of.
But it can, as I said, boost testosterone levels by 50%. It can reduce body fat. So it clearly would have tangible benefits on an athlete.
Like now we see why he been talking so hot. Remember he said he'd beat up Boots, he'd beat Ortiz and all that. Now we see where the confidence coming from.
He's not gonna get any sympathy going forward for any missteps. You have kind of lost the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. This is your career, your livelihood. This is everything at stake here.
Were you surprised that Conor Benn failed the test? Why not?
When there's a country, when there's a lot of doping over the years, right? England has a lot of issues. The anti-doping tests are very weak. They're not consistent.
You wanted to come and speak to us today. The floor is yours.
And my whole career, I've never had any issues before. I'm a clean athlete, and we'll get to the bottom of this. No one gives a shit. Sorry, you're gonna have to be the bad guy now. You know, you're gonna have to accept being booed into arenas. You're gonna have to accept being trolled on a daily basis.
I believe Conor Benn. I've chosen to back this young man. I've taken flack, I've taken criticism. People have told me, don't do it.
Yeah, we're in Florida. The big news which came out this morning, Conor Benn is returning.
The ABC spoke to the British Boxing Board of Control, who confirmed that he is cleared to fight. Ultimately, he's not suspended. We were going to announce it yesterday, but we announced today, and he returns after 18 months out of the ring, and we can't wait.
It's been the most frustrating period for you. You know, from a professional level, from an emotional level as well, from a personal level.
You know, Saturday night's been a long time coming. You know, I've had to jump through so many hurdles. You know, it's been the hardest fight of my life this period, but I am born to fight. This is what I do.
Rossan's a big punch. Hard right hand there from Ben.
Rodolfo, you're a very tough man. You was constant and relentless with your pressure, Rodolfo.
Roscoe applying an immense amount of pressure, reckless pressure perhaps.
We did have opportunities in there, you know, but he moved really well.
Clearly showing signs. There it is right there. There's that overhand right.
But, you know, we didn't manage to get him tonight.
And still undefeated, Conor.
How tough was he?
It was tough.
All day long, mate. I'm glad you had a fight like that.
I bet you were sitting there laughing.
No,
he was 100% sitting there laughing.
When you've been out for 18 months and you've had to go through what he's been through, you need that. You need that bad.
From a bright prospect to an existential career crisis that crossed through America.
Oh, what a right hand over the top. Tremendous right hand from Conor Benn.
Returning to London for a stadium headliner and the chance for forgiveness.
The reality is, interrogatory, investigatory bodies have cleared him to fight in this fight with you.
Obviously, we know what I've been through over the past 2.5 years, which was challenging. You know, I fought once a year since, you know, so for me, the inactivity's not done me great. But ultimately, I've stayed in the gym, I've stayed learning, I've stayed working.
So you might think he's a cheat, and you're perfectly entitled to your view. But the reality is, if he was a convicted cheat, he wouldn't be able to fight you.
The unbeaten Conor Benn, 23-0, 14 knockouts, will move up in weight to take on the current IBO middleweight champion, Chris Eubank Jr.
Conor Benn, how are we feeling about smashing this geezer to pieces April 26th?
Let's hear from Conor.
Conor Benn, against Chris Eubank, is he biting off more than he can chew, or do you think he goes up to 57 and wins that fight?
Honestly, I mean, stylistically, it's a fight he can win. So, which is why they're taking the fight.
Conor, you're a natural welterweight, moving up 2 weight classes, and in your middleweight debut, you're fighting one of the best in the world.
I tip my hat to anybody who has got balls enough to go and jump up 2 weight classes and fight a dangerous guy.
You said something absurd in the last press conference. You said this isn't the Chris Eubank Jr. show. Whose show is it? Is it yours?
Eubank's game plan, which looks to the fact that he's trying to catch him.
No, I mean, partly.
No.
But I would say,
You fought the best of the best, Pacquiao, Spence.
Chris Algieri.
Pretty much at their peak. How did he stack up, Conor Benn?
Rise. Oh, good one, 2 and he's down.
Left-right combination.
Could he be of that level if he's not there yet?
I think it's very early in his career still.
Beating faded versions of Algieri, Van Heerden, and Vargas helped him with improvements, but have they sufficiently prepared the destroyer for such a sizable task? Back in the 90s, thousands packed into stadiums and millions watched Chris Sr. and Nigel at home in 2 fights that captured the public imagination.
So therefore, what you have here is a combatant intellectual boxer against the shallow-minded puncher.
Ben, the wild, swinging knockout king.
Nobody here gonna take my title away from me.
Eubank, the stoic enigma, arrogantly brilliant.
You are mine, you belong to me.
Able to reel his opponent onto a psychological hook with his antics.
But they must also be marveling at his skills.
He's the real hype. I come up the hard way. I didn't have Frank
myself, boy.
You had your time. Let's have some parliamentary procedure here, all right?
The next generation continues the mind games as the paying public turn their collective attention to a family history and endless melee that has sparked a perfect storm of interest.
I mean, their fight is because of the father. They wouldn't be fighting otherwise if it wasn't for their father. One is a welterweight, one is a middleweight. There wouldn't be no fight at all if it wasn't for the father.
Junior, where does Conor rank in your list of opponents so far in your career? Where would you say he is?
This is the biggest fight of my career.
The pre-sale record has been broken again. This will be not just the biggest fight in the UK this year. Undoubtedly, that's fact. It'll probably be one of the biggest fights we've ever seen.
Payday's too big to let slide, needing to be salvaged as the latest round of soap opera drama drives demand. From press conference jibes to eggs in the face.
Something was said there
and then this happens. It's a push rather than a slap, but it's serious. It's serious.
Boxing returns to the back pages, spread with images of salacious scuffles.
I thought it was quite funny, actually. I mean, I am team Ben. Yeah, it makes good for the it's good for the build-up, isn't it?
We know why now.
He's the only man who knew about the egg.
Listen, we know why.
Smuggle it in. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, the security was checking for eggs on his way.
LV pack. Like
that's why he went.
This egg thing. He said, "Dad, he's a cheat." Okay, and we're promoting the fight.
I did what I needed to do. I embarrassed a drug cheat, which is what is needed in this sport.
Because these people are all over me, telling me that my dad doesn't like me.
His dad don't even like him. You could not pay that man enough money to sit in this man's corner. Now that's an accomplishment, Chris.
I would never be in your corner. You're a disgrace. You're smashing an egg in someone's face.
For Chris Eubank Jr., pleasing his famed father remains a heavy duty. Donning the same crests and colors, Next Gen toiled hard to fill the boots of the man who claimed he was simply the best.
My own father, a man I idolized my entire life, he doesn't speak to me. We haven't spoken for years, and he thinks I'm a disgrace. These things are what pain is to me.
Chris Eubank Sr. has to accept that his son is his own man.
Yes,
and it's not about him.
Hold on, I've been in these fights. So when you say, let him be his own man, how can I let him be his own man when you can't be a man in this unless you've got someone directing you who's been there, who's felt it, who's tasted it?
In a sport where size and its benefits matter, Eubanks Jr. holds all the cards regarding height, reach, and natural advantages. 3 inches taller, Eubank, like his opponent, has learned on the job.
They say lightning never strikes twice. I knew that the chances of me ever being able to make it in boxing were so slim that it's like it wasn't even really worth me trying.
Right hook across the midriff there, Eubank.
I guess the sickness inside of me. Let me see how far I can get.
He's about to take body shot again there from Eubank.
Left hook puts him down.
But I've done that now, beaten 32 men in this ring. You can Google it.
7 years older, the 160-pound weight class represents familiar territory for a man who has also campaigned at super middleweight.
That was against Arthur Abraham. Good right uppercut, and Yoderim is down.
Younger and fresher, Conor Benn flirted with super lightweight early in his 9-year professional journey.
Certainly coming to give it a go here, and you're not going to be able to intimidate young Conor Benn.
I love Ben's style and his approach. I do.
There's still got plenty to offer. Good shot.
Where, being aggressive in a responsible way, in a way a fighter should be.
Warning Ben that this could be his final outing, it's Eubank Jr. with 14 years under his belt who is closer to the exit door.
You rolled and you shot to bits. You rolled. You washed up.
Scared shot.
Eubank Jr. has negotiated the 12-round distance in championship fights 5 times across his 37 fights. Ben just once in 23 outings.
I like parts of each guy. I like the ability of Eubanks when he's right. When his focus is there, when he's right.
How confident are you that Chris does the job on April 26th?
As camp progresses, confidence grows.
Trained by Jonathan Banks, much of Eubank's 74% KO ratio came from cumulative efforts.
Yoderim being forced backwards, and a thunderous left hook!
Just let that sink in for a second.
No one cares, Chris.
Really explosive and powerful.
Ben's 61% of knockouts arrived against significantly smaller men than the one facing him next.
That might be all over right there.
London's finest Tony Sims has whipped Ben into contentiously impressive shape across his 106 rounds to Eubank's 234 sessions.
I think people that don't know him think he's too emotional.
You're a kid. You're a kid. Yeah, kid, let's go. You up. Yeah, kid, let's go. You up.
He's got a really high IQ. He's very smart when he's in the ring.
The physical disparity is stark. Bigger, longer, with a proven engine, Eubank has gone rounds with world-class opposition.
What you done in the first fight to Chris. Let's go with the
as kind of a little bit of a guide, as an example of what he could do on Saturday night?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like that gave Conor a massive bit of confidence in the fight.
The KO loss to Liam Smith was an anomaly for Chris. Ben will need to avoid the Eubank uppercut that worked so well against Zarameta.
Boy, that's gotta do it.
Two men competing on the periphery of their profession, looked down on by trade purists, cashing checks that more esteemed champions, laden with belts acquired in top-class company, can only dream of.
But why is it you, Chris? It's him. It's his life in the conversation.
Because without me, you can't make the money that he's made.
I agree with that.
We are where we are because of our dads.
That's true.
They laid the foundations.
This encounter means many things to many people.
It's a banger. It's a banger. People can't wait to see that.
Once the first bell rings and the superstar stature of their fathers looms over lights of the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, the unmatched theater sucks even the most sullied skeptic in like no other.
And look, it's made the fight. I mean, the fight was already big.
Oh, tempers flaring there.
But now the fight's even bigger because of that.
The ring offers redemption. Going out on a warrior's shield absolves and redeems.
Oh, good shots from Eubank.
Conor Benn and Chris Eubank Jr. can create lasting memories of a historical chapter started decades before them.